And you are a born and bred Texan?
I am indeed. I'm probably more conservative than you are, believe it or not.
And you're not in Austin.
No.
Where do you live?
No,
Where in Texas?
I'm actually about 80 miles east of Austin, little town of Fredericksburg.
Okay.
Did I say east?
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Here's my thinking on this. I think you're kind of looping them all into one basket. I've been watching some news programs at night, and I see some signs they're holding up that make sense. There's one in particular that caught my eye. It said student loan equals slavery. Student loan debt equals slavery, and that is a.
And that made sense to you?
Hold on just a second. Let him speak. Go ahead, Derek.
Debt equals slavery. Look it up. It's in the Bible.
Okay, well...
Hang on.
Okay.
Let the man speak, Pat. Go ahead.
He's done speaking.
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here is I think the fundamental issue of this whole thing is that some of these banks that these guys are protesting on Wall Street are the same ones that received the TARP bailout.
Yes.
I think they're frustrated because they can't find work. They've been saddled with this huge amount of debt that these banks have loaned them. Obviously, it takes two to tango. But at the same time, these banks did receive these huge bailout funds. Some of the students definitely want a bailout for themselves. But, you know, we're in we live in a credit-driven society. And I don't know when the transition took place. I stayed at a hotel with my wife in San Antonio about a year ago. And in the lobby was this huge mural that was painted in the Depression. And the words written on that mural were, "Thrift is the pathway to wealth." Now, sometime between then and now, we have gone to a credit-driven society. Now, who benefits on a credit-driven society?
Well, I would say anybody who uses, I would say anyone who uses credit and makes the decision to use credit. I would say that's when.
Okay. Well, can you actually get wealthy with credit?
Well, you can. Yeah, you can. Overwhelming debt, no. The scriptures would be right that overwhelming debt would make you a slave.
Sure.
But no, you can borrow money to be able to start your own business.
To leverage yourself.
Yes, in a realistic sort of way. Credit is not evil. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go down the Sharia law with you. Credit is not evil. It is the love of money or the complete disregard for responsible debt and responsibility for that debt after you've taken it.
May I ask?
Yeah, you ask him a question. Hang on just a second. Hang on, Derek. Derek, let Pat speak.
You quoted the Bible for us. Debt is slavery, and yes, it is. But slavery is not voluntary. So when you volunteer for slavery, that's a whole different kind of slavery. Nobody is forcing these people to get into debt. No one, Derek, is saddled with it. A horse is saddled because a horse has no choice. Nobody asks a horse, "Hey, can I put this on you?" You get into the agreement with the bank yourself. Now, if you're out of control and you get so much debt that you can't live your life in a decent way, that is your responsibility.
Yeah. Now, let me go here on something on the bank bailout. You said these banks received TARP. No, sir. Sure. Some of them did. Many of them were forced by the government to take TARP, just as they were also forced to live within the parameters that the government said that you must give loans to these people who cannot afford it. The government is the one that is really responsible for much of this. And I'm sorry, I just said to my daughter just last weekend, we had quite a discussion. I am personally paying for their college educations. I have no problem paying for college educations. However, I told them, you know, gang, we are spending a lot of money on your college education. What exactly do you think you're going to get in return for that money and that college education? Now, I will tell you that my older kids are just about out of college now, so it's too late for them. But my younger kids, I'm sorry. am not paying for a college education that is this much money. It's sanity.
Well, congratulations.
Excuse
I think
me?
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Why has it gone up so high?
You'd have to ask not the banks that, sir. You would have to ask the universities that.
That's the point.
You notice that the ones that nobody's protesting against are the universities.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the least?
But
Who is the least guilty party here in this? The least guilty party is the bank. You have somebody who is asking for money and agreeing to a contract to pay it back and is not able to do so.
Yeah.
And you have a university that keeps jacking the price up over and over and over again, way beyond inflation, way beyond even health care increasing costs.
Well,
and yet the bank is the one that's blamed.
Because of government intervention.
Yeah, so why are they not? Why are they then not at the White House and Congress? Why are they in front of the banks? If the banks are forcing people, excuse me, sir, if the banks are forcing people and they are engaging in predatory loans where they are luring people in and saying, you've got, oh, don't worry about it. Now, that's exactly what the government says the banks did, but I'm sorry, sir, the banks did not do that. Barney Frank, Chris Dodd, those in Congress, and those in the White House, past and present, are the ones who did that, not the banks. I'm not sticking up for the banks. I don't think the banks, I think a lot of these guys are criminal in their negligence on what they're doing. I think when it comes to CDOs, you can make a point. If they can't understand it, how could anyone understand it? If they don't know how to make it work, why would they engage? It's black magic. You want to talk to me about the banks in that way? We'll do it. But don't talk to me about the banks on student loans. You took out a loan. You owe that money. You took out a loan. You got an education. They never promised you a job. It was an education. Now, what are you going to do with that education? You're now going to take that valuable education and say, I'm going to destroy everything with that education? You're out of your mind. I'm going to make others pay for my education. I'm going to destroy the system that allowed this society to have those universities? No, sir. No, sir. That's irresponsible. And quite honestly, check your Bible. I believe that is evil.
Still in the Bible here. We're still in Bible country.
Yep.
Glenn, the other thing is the universities could never charge the prices they pay if it wasn't for the government making it so they can get low-interest loans and funneling our tax dollars to these universities. And
telling the universities are the ones who are teaching our children that capitalism is bad. The